Yo, hey, what's going on YouTube? Cal here checking in. Hey, if y'all don't know, this is day 6 of YNW Melly's trial. How did the cops use his iPhone to charge with murder? But I don't know. I think there's gonna be something like a mukbang because I got some food right over here. I got some halal food, chickpeas. I never had chickpeas before, but I got some chickpeas. I got some naan bread. Naan bread is fire. Yeah, I got some naan bread. I got some. I normally do the chicken. I do the chicken with rice. I got chicken, rice. I'm gonna open up this bad boy so y'all can really see. See that? I normally do the chicken over the rice. This right here, I got whitening over the rice with white sauce, and then we got like a little salad. See what these chickpeas here doing. Chickpeas with the naan. But yeah, let's gonna get back into this.
Further into it, say, okay, why is this not connecting to one of the towers that I expected it would?
So we've described the CDRs and the information that's used on those. Is that the same that you did for each and every phone in this case?
So we were looking at the time in advance report, the engineering data, the CDRs, the call detail records are different data sets.
And just explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what's the difference between the timing advance, the engineering reports, and the CDRs.
So the CDRs, or the call detail records, are records of the phone's communications, like calls and coming out, going.
This is my baby mother.
That will say
Try though.
date and time, the numbers involved in the call, the tower, the azimuth, etc. But it doesn't have the extra information that the engineering report does. So in the call detail records,
It is nom fresh off the
records you usually see with your phone if you're people actually.
Okay, I want to get to a little bit more interesting shit. So let's go to the. So now they explain the cell towers. They're basically telling you how the phone communicates to the cell towers, what speed it goes by. That's what they start talking about, speed of light, and also like whatever cell phone coverage. Let's see if they're gonna now bring the GPS. Like let's see if they're gonna map the info they got from the phone to a real map. I think it's about to come. Here we go.
But it could also just be another tower within the network that saw that phone and say, hey, I see
this
you,
fire.
I see devices this far away.
This shit like fresh off
It's
the
important
board.
to keep in mind what type of report you're looking at because it obviously can affect the conclusions that you're.
Damn, I mean, it dropped this.
So in terms of the way you illustrate the difference between a tower being used or a sector and a timing advance or the distance measured on that. I want to make sure it's very clear. What we're looking at right now, what does this illustrate when we see just a round circle in your reports?
So this will illustrate the tower that the phone used, or if it's from the data report, the engineering report, the tower that is registered and listed as seeing the phone. All the green dots in the middle of this graphic, those are all cell towers, and you'll see that there's one tower in the center of the map that has a blue circle around it. And so that would be the tower that the phone connected to. That's not, I think it's not like if you're using Google Maps and you're used to seeing a blue dot when you pull that out. This is not the location device. This is the tower.
Okay, and can you just, so it's clear, point out a couple of the towers that are on this map and just highlight them so it's clear what you're talking about. Because sometimes the color doesn't come across great on the screen.
So these green dots would be other towers that weren't used or weren't, that didn't see the phone. This one here in the center of the blue circle would be the tower that was listed on the report. And then this big blue circle, that's not a coverage area, that's not saying that, hey, the phone has to be somewhere. Then here I'm just flagging that as saying that is the tower that is listed in the report. That's the tower that was used over a cell phone.
Is it your testimony that the phone is definitely within that circle somewhere?
No, definitely not.
Why not?
That's not what this is intended to do. This is just intended to show this is the tower.
Oh. So now we're gonna go into the cell site. How would you indicate that in your report?
So cell site, meaning tower and sector, or tower and antenna. This is showing the direction that the flashlight is pointed. So this like wedge or slice of pie, or however people like to think about it, that will show the direction the flashlight's beam. So the azimuth, the center line would be, in this case, like 180 degrees due south.
Check this motherfucker.
The illustration shows the estimated like ends of the coverage area.
Alright, so they got the chicken over rice. They got the whitening over rice. They got the lamb over rice. The shrimp over rice. But I only be doing the chicken. And now I'm trying to whiten them. The chicken is fire. Like, I've been doing the chicken for a little minute, but I'm about to try this whitening. Let's see. Look at that. Look at that. Bro, what? Oh, yeah. Bro. Damn, this shit is. Hold on, let me try one more. Cause this shit really jive like no homo. This don't jive like melting your mouth like it's not crunchy, like it's jive like. And that's how the chicken is, like the chicken not crunchy, like hold on, bruh. They chefs OG, like they chefs might be legit, bruh. Yeah. Oh yeah. Some rice.
But what's really important about this is that this is just showing the direction that the antenna is pointing, the direction of the beam. So this is again not showing where the phone is. In other words, I'm not saying that the phone has to be within this blue shaded area. I'm not saying that the phone has to be within the arms of this black wedge. I'm saying this is the direction that the antenna is pointing.
Are you able to tell anything about the strength of a signal from a tower at any given time?
No.
Why not?
It's not reflecting the records that I have.
In terms of the average signal strength, is that something you have training and experience on from the various cellular telephone providers?
Right. No.
So is there any determination or anything that can be made about distance from a tower just based on what cell site the phone or device was using?
No. From your call detail records, you cannot tell distance.
Yeah, whoever who said that in the chat, you're right. It's like CSI.
To this type of illustration.
Okay, so this is kind of showing. I'm gonna skip this a little bit. Okay, here we go.
Brother,
With
nah, but
coordinates
the
on it.
whitening, bro, this whitening
Is that
bro.
again provided to you by the detective?
Yes.
Next, reported
This is real
shooting.
live, some of
How
the
would you
best-
identify that on the map and point it out, please?
So the
White than I ever
reported
had,
shooting,
bro.
Location is a blue flag with a little eye in it, shown here on the map, sort of, I guess.
So now he's applying everything he just explained to saying how he came up with this like route they drove.
Your next, how is that identified on the map?
You have Memorial Hospital, 1901 Southwest 172nd Avenue, Miramar, Florida. It's shown on the map with a red square
You should fire,
white
bro.
H.
Okay. Next location is labeled as McDonald's. Where is that on the map?
McDonald's is 17001 Miramar Parkway, Miramar, Florida. That's shown with a red circle and a yellow M on it.
Okay. And Sunset Lakes is the next one. If you could point that out.
Sunset Lakes is located at 18513 Southwest 40th Street, Miramar, Florida. That's shown on the map with an orange flag that has the white letters S and L.
And so last but not least, the Montessori Academy.
Yes, the Montessori Academy, 19200 Pines Boulevard, Pembroke Pines, Florida. It's shown on the map with an orange flag that has the letters M and A in white.
Are those locations that we just discussed consistently plotted throughout the rest of the mapping that you do in this case?
Yes.
So I want to go to the phone number 772-713-9807, and then the phone number 954-248-9081. Do you know who either of those phone numbers belong to?
Objection, outside of the scope of knowledge.
Excuse me.
And hearsay.
Can I see s- side one, please?
They're still arguing about, yo, you cannot refer to this number as Melly's number. Let's keep it going now. It should be coming back. Here we go.
On that, I want to talk in the 954-248-9081. Between 3:20 a.m. and 3:57 a.m., did you analyze the data for both of those phones?
Yes.
And if you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what this data is showing and explain it to them.
Sure. So the several slides like this in the report. So I'll talk a little bit more about this first one, just so everyone understands. Which the slide
Right,
says at
man.
the top, it says the analysis of the two phone numbers that conducting analysis for. It says the time period that I'm analyzing, so October 26, 2018
Yeah,
through
whitening,
20
bro.
a.m.
This is whitening
7
right
a.m.
here.
And then the bulk of the slide is the graphic, is the map. You see all the green dots all over the place. Those are T-Mobile towers, like we talked about before. And then you'll see that certain towers are highlighted with a circle showing that those are the towers that saw the phone. Some circles are red, some circles are blue, some circles are red with a blue perimeter around them.
And so I'm going to kind of zoom in up here on this top section, the 3:20 a.m. If you could just show some of the red with blue circles and then the blue and red on that.
Yeah, so there's an example of a red circle, and what that means is that you can call it, since it's hard sometimes to remember numbers, we'll just call it the red phone and the blue phone. So the red phone was seen by that tower, and that's why there's a red circle there. Here, the network saw the blue phone on that tower. Here's an example of a tower that saw both.
Judge, may we approach that bar, please?
Another side.
Hey, this shit
One's
good as shit,
associated
bro.
with-
I ain't talking about this
You
motherfucker.
have the
Wrong with what
Food.
she's showing.
ran along with the
Since
defendant,
the chick keys hitting on that.
witnesses also present, the state's present. All right, so I don't understand. You're saying you didn't have this report?
So we got this report this morning while I was sitting in the courtroom. We don't have a printer here, so I asked the state to do the professional courtesy and give me a copy of the documents that she'd be using for this testimony. I'm trying to refer to it. She gave me 7 pages, by the way, which we started, and I was objecting to it being published because it still had the names in. She said, I'm not using that first page that I handed you, I'm using every other page. So I'm looking at the pages to try to go along with what she's showing, and I'm noticing she gave me a report from a whole nother phone. All I'm asking is to give us the actual documents that she's showing the witness. And to say I emailed it to you while we were sitting in the courtroom is a little disingenuous because I don't have the printer to be able to print it out. So I just asked.
So you have the report, all 3 reports, but the reports that you have that were generated to you have the phone number as well as a name that's identified that the phone is associated with. Is that correct?
She redacted that.
No, a little
Yes.
bit, but you have the 3 reports
Yes.
discussing the phones, and you was given those reports some time ago, and yesterday
Oh, I got some cake too, y'all.
objection was made that
I think this is his brother, right? This is his
Got some
brother right
cake.
here? B-Slime? Or is it this? I know B-Slime has some colored stuff in his hair.
Yeah, some cake, chocolate cake.
it's, it's conclusory as to whose phone
Did Whoa Vicky not show up today?
it was, and I sustained that objection, told her to redact the name.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And you're telling me you don't have the form of the report reports with that redaction of these maps or whatever they are, with the names being redacted. Is that correct?
So I have it in email, but I'm asking for paper form so I can follow along.
Understood.
Yes, yes, that's
From
exactly.
7-Eleven.
Thank you. So can you make copies for those?
I printed, I found all of them. If there's one that she's missing, I'm happy to do so and pull them up again. I printed them all this morning for her.
Council's suggesting she doesn't have them, so I just want to make sure she has
Of
them.
course, and that's not a problem. So, but they've all been turned over via email. This is all in there, the original copies as well that were provided.
Council does not have the ability to print something out in the courtroom now. She's asking, Councilman Raven, Liberty's asking for a copy of it. Let's provide her a copy.
I'm happy to do so. I just need to know exactly which one she says she's missing and which one she says she has. I don't want to have to duplicate them if possible.
None of the documents she's published
So
since
just do
testimony
me
started
a
has
courtesy,
been
just
given
print
to me.
all of them out.
Oh,
Okay.
Digital forensic examiner.
okay. What is a digital forensic examiner?
So what I do is we'll stick with the cell phones or cellular phones or devices.
This was previously, so I guess this is when they come back. Let's see. Right here.
That's right.
All right, let's get back on the record. I understand, well, first of all, let the record reflect the presence of the defendant, his counsel, assistant state attorneys. We're still waiting for the state to provide certain documents to defense counsel, i.e. Some maps that were being used as demonstratives. Counsel sidebar suggested that she didn't have them. They were emailed to her, but she doesn't have hard copies, and Liberty wants the hard copies. So, I had instructed the state attorney to go ahead and do that, provide those hard copies, and that's in the works because the printer in the courtroom doesn't seem to be working. So while we're waiting on that, let's go back and talk about the discovery cutoff that counsel suggested he wants. What's the state's position on the discovery cutoff?
That if there is anything that counsel brings up with regards to the witness that suggests additional analysis or anything that can be done, that the state would do it on that.
So you're opposing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else that you want to be heard on regarding this discovery cutoff?
No, Your Honor.
Anything the defense wants to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. I just started to do some research, and quite frankly, I've only candidly found a case. It's in the 4th DCA, but it concerns a civil matter, and it speaks of the need for a discovery cutoff to avoid the very term I used, ambush and surprise, and that when a party conducts itself in a way as to ambush there to get the benefit of that. These trials, we understand, life goes on beyond trials. So the evidence that can be introduced into a trial should have some finite and determinable parameters. The notion that the state comes here and asks jurors to put somebody to death suggests that they have completed an investigation that warrants that co-signing, co-signature. To suggest that, okay, there are a lot of things that we could have done and we didn't do, and if you ask about it, we're going to go do it and introduce it while the proceedings ensue, is not only an ambush, but it's an insult to the process. They're saying that they have the evidence. Now, the state can get up there and say, hey, the defense is making some ridiculous cross-examination and we don't have everything.
I'm thinking the jury's out of the room again.
Which,
Anytime they're having these little open court kind of like, motion arguments or whatever, usually the juror's out of the room.
beyond a reasonable doubt. But what they cannot do is, as these proceedings go forward, continue to investigate and plug holes that we reveal to exist as the process goes on until this case goes to verdict. I'm not quite sure when this would end or how there is even a gatekeeping function of the court if there is no gate and there is no fence and there are no lines and no parameters of propriety. The state is making a representation by bringing this indictment that they are ready and they have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And if that proof beyond a reasonable doubt also includes areas of investigation that were not pursued, then they should explain to a jury why it was not pursued and why the failure to pursue it does not undermine their case. They don't get to keep plugging holes as the proceedings go forward. And so, as the Fourth Circuit said, that is ambush. And the purpose of...
You know the sad part about all this is, let's say if Melly is found not guilty, right? He's going to get the little Boosie, like, treatment. What I mean by that is, like, since Lil Boosie got off, got off with murder, he was also facing a death penalty. And, he just became a free man. As soon as Lil Boosie became a free man, as y'all see over time, like, the police just keep fucking with this man. Like, repeated. They just keep fucking with this man, bruh. Pull him over at the gas station. Pull him over at anywhere. Like, Five Guys. Pull him over at a traffic light. Pull him over at... Like, they just be searching for things. And it seems like, now Lil Boosie is in a situation where they quote unquote found a gun, but he had security, and now they just trying to pin a gun on him because the gun was, I guess, not concealed right. Or because they seen him in a music video and he had something in his pocket and they labeling that as a gun when it don't look like, it ain't no handle, like it's just something in his back pocket or back of his shorts. So they trying to say that was a gun. It just seemed like, to be honest with you, it seemed like one way or another they gonna try to make an example out of you. They couldn't get you on a death penalty / put you in jail. We're gonna find a way to get you in jail. You're gonna slip up one of these days, and that's how this shit is, bruh. It's a harsh reality, bro. It seems like even like not on a Lil Boosie case, like for like people that sues the jail, sues the states, and they win, like, like if something happened at a traffic stop, police stop you, and something transpires from over that, and then you sue that police and you win, like, bro, that puts a target on your back, bro. That shit, like, this shit is sad. Even if, like I said, even if Melly do win, like, it seems like it's just gonna be another target on his back, like.
Sorry, the 4th DCA said that is ambush. And the purpose of a discovery deadline is to avoid surprise, avoid ambush, and a party that engages in that ought not to get the benefit of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Just briefly, I mentioned that defense hasn't yet to provide any reciprocal discovery, but alluded to some yesterday, that they were looking at Instagram posts and everything that had happened as recently as this week, but yet they have provided nothing to the state. So if there's any deadline of any sort that needs to be imposed on both parties.
Thank you. Oh, Counsel, my understanding is that's the way it works, is that it's not, Richardson violations apply to both sides, it doesn't apply to just one side, it's deadlines apply to both sides. And there's the obligation, there's the obligation.
We apologize, the treasurer's decided to start working on it. I'm sorry.
I apologize. What I was saying is that
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
whatever obligations that are imposed would be applicable
I think she said it was the printer.
on both sides when there's a discovery cutoff or not. My thought is that the discovery cutoff.
See, I haven't used a printer in years, bro, but wouldn't you think that we got quiet vehicles? Wouldn't you think that, like, a printer would be quiet now? Like, what the fuck? Why that junk so loud?
You can keep investigating
Fuck it, I got that junk on the speaker.
in case whatever, however you feel fit, and you're more than welcome to do that. However, that doesn't mean that anything you find can be used at trial as in evidence. This thing with Mr. Moretti, where when I'm out of town on vacation, you're asking the detective, or he's offering, I'm not really sure how it happened, to continue and run this through another process, and the defense doesn't know about it. The defense cross-examines Mr. Zellner, Officer Zellner, and is not aware that he's asking questions about other programs, because his understanding is there isn't any other program. But you know there's another program, they have access to it, and they've done it, you just don't have the results. That seems to me to be what the counsel's talking about. And that seems to me to be a Richardson violation. There's a discovery that's ongoing, you know about it, and you're not telling them about it until we're here in court.
Damn, so she trying to pull a quick one. She's saying that we got all this evidence, but she's not giving them the evidence so they can, look at it and shit like that. And she just bringing it up at trial. Hey, it seemed like she just like getting a little badass name. Like, she just fucking herself over, because you can't do that shit. You can't just say, oh, we got this evidence right here. There's some brand new shit that nobody's seen. Then this niggas sitting there like, ho, what the fuck are you, where this come from? Like, hold up, man. I ain't never see this. And you see the judge saying, bro, you can't do that. Like, you can't present evidence that they don't know about.
As far as already is concerned, I think that's a discovery violation. And I'm finding it to be a discovery violation. I just think the only way it can be cured is he's not going to testify about this second procedure that's not coming in. Same thing, if you want to keep investigating a case, you can do it. You can find exculpatory information. You may change your mind as to how you proceed with the case, and I don't have a problem. You can investigate whatever you want to investigate. But as far as using new discovery that you're coming in, I think a cutoff needs to be happened, because this is what's going on. We're going to have this. If you find something new, there's a whole, as counsel describes it, and you try to find evidence to plug up the hole that's new discovery. The defense doesn't have an opportunity to depose the witness. The defense doesn't have an opportunity to do X, Y, and Z. And that's just not the way it should be. It shouldn't be done by surprise. So
it's clear this was not a new item. This was just this, all of the information was told to be identical.
you found it, you had a meeting with the detective in May when we're in hiatus because I'm on vacation. All right? Got a meeting with them in May after we picked a jury, and when we're ready to, or we're in the middle of jury selection, you picked it, you did it, and you said, well, he tells you, or you ask him, do you have more, programs to go ahead and provide the information, and you find out there's another program, and he runs the program, does a different download with something other than Cellbrite, and therefore, you have more information. Don't make the defense aware of it. You hold that to yourself. You go ahead and put on a couple weeks of trial testimony, and then when it comes up after he, in cross-examination, points something out, you bring it up and say, well, by the way, I told him, the detective in our pretrial meeting, it came up and he has the program and we can use it and we're doing it, all right? And, but you don't tell him about it. You just go ahead and hold it, keep it close to the vest yourself. Don't explain it to him, and then you say, when it comes up at trial, I say, what was it? I don't have the report yet, and that's why I didn't turn it over to him, but didn't disclose it's coming. It seems to me that's not what's supposed to happen.
Bruh. Bruh, I'm telling y'all, bruh, like, this not the only trial. I mean, because this is such a high case that's why the judge is like really jumping down her throat about it. But imagine all the people that it don't be a high case, like they don't got the backing and shit like that, bruh. Imagine how much sneaky shit go on, bruh. Imagine how much sneaky shit go on, bruh. Why you on trial? These niggas will fuck your life up, bruh. See, I ain't no criminal. I ain't gonna never be no criminal, so I don't worry about shit like that. But I'm just saying, bruh. Just look at how the fuck they do shit, bruh. They'll bring evidence up and you'll just sit there like, huh? Where the fuck this come from? And then the sad part is, this all that she gonna get is a conversation. All she gonna get is a conversation. She don't get held accountable. She don't get no fine. None of that. Come on, bruh. That shit is, man, dog. That shit ain't right.
Not supposed to happen, period. That's a discovery violation. Okay? So, as far as the Detective Moretti, and whatever other form he used, that's not coming in.
Okay.
All right? That's the sanction. If you have other information, other discovery that's in the works, you better share it with them, because right now, if you don't have it, they're not aware of it now. It's not coming in unless there's something extraordinary that pops up. And just because, you find out they have additional capabilities and you want to go retest something, that's not extraordinary on my way of thinking. I'm not familiar with what the case law says. It just seems to me that this is a fundamental fairness thing. You have evidence, you need to turn it over to him. If you didn't turn it over to him, you can't use it. That's really the basic.
Understood, Your Honor. And so everything has been turned over. That was the only item of which there was additional investigation done on to see if there was any other information or anything else that came out. It was reported to me that it was identical in terms of the information that was done through Gray Key versus Celebrite on that. So defense counsel is attacking the veracity of the Celebrite program on that. So with regards to that, that's the only reason why that would even be brought up. But if I understand yours, so we can move forward on that. But I do want to address one other issue while we're outside the presence of the jury. Counsel keeps objecting to publishing of items that are already in evidence and making speaking objections. So just ask if Your Honor could address that specific issue, because the state can publish the items that are in evidence in the presentation of their case, and defense can object if there's something that has not been admitted or something to that effect. But in terms of the speaking objections and things like that, those are improper in front of the jury.
Thank you. All right, no speaking objections. All right.
Understood.
When do you expect this documentation to come over?
I think the printer just started working.
And I provided it to Ms. Liberty.
Do you have those, Ms. Liberty?
Yes, confirmed, Judge.
All right, you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, sir.
Bring the jury in.
This is a good thumbnail right here. It's like the Lil Durk and Young Thug staring at the computer meme.
Jurors entering.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Please be seated. Let the record once again reflect the presence of the jury as well as the defendant, defendants, his counsel, the state attorneys. Our witness remains on the stand. Counsel, you can continue with your direct examination.
Okay, so we had left off, we were talking about the red phone and the blue phone. And just to remind the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what is the red phone number?
That is listed at the top of the slide. It is 772-713-9807.
And then the blue phone number?
The blue phone number is 954-248-9081.
Okay, so going back, you have a little green box with the numbers 154129-11. What is that?
That is the name of the tower and the sector.
Okay. And the times that are listed below, what are those indicative of?
So there's a time that says 3:20 a.m. in blue, and it says 3:20 a.m. in red, and that is the time from the records that the blue phone and the red phone each respectively connected to that tower.
So based on what you're showing here, what can you tell us about where the blue phone and the red phone were at 3:20?
So generally in the area around New Era Studios.
Okay. As you're moving across the slide, what are we looking at?
So we see a series of towers that the red phone and or blue phone were observed by as they move from east to west. So you see there's a line of towers generally in this area, kind of along 595, down I-75, and then the last ones at the end of the slide are the west, kind of by the intersection of Ica Tower that's near the intersection of Pines and US 27. The tower is 63035, sector 15 at 3:57 a.m. That tower saw each of these phones.
So I want to make sure it's clear when you're the 3:20 a.m. that's on the right side of the screen. Can you kind of show in order the way the towers are plotted?
Yeah, so I didn't know the time for each tower because then it would be just a mess of boxes on the slide. But generally, these towers in the northeast, and then sequentially or chronologically as time went on, these towers were used. This tower was used later in that tower, and this tower, and that tower. And so as time went on, from 320 closer to 357, these towers were used.
And based on your training and experience, what does that tell you about how the phones were moving in relation to one another between 3:20 and 3:57 a.m.?
Yeah, so in my opinion, that's consistent with devices moving generally together.
So you mentioned that there are some in which there is red and blue together. So I want to focus in. There's one here. It looks like at the intersection of Flamingo Road and I-75. And
Yes.
595 rather. The red with the blue. What does that mean when you have them overlaid like that?
So that tower saw both the red phone and the blue phone.
Okay. Is that at the same time or are they at separate times?
Could be either.
So going on to the phone of the 772-713-9807, what are we looking at this slide titled 3:47 a.m.?
So this is a plot of timing advance data, and it shows that two data points basically from the engineering report. The tower 64337, sector 2, that's pointed south, recorded the red phone at two data points, one at 3:47:13 a.m., one at 3:47:24 a.m. And the measurement that went up was that phone at those times was 0.24 miles from the tower.
So you said it's two different times, but it's the same measurement. How do you explain that to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
That's just what the records recorded.
Okay. And in terms of by having two data points along, are they going to be in the same exact spot?
Well, it could be or it could not be. So the 0.24 miles from the tower is this red arc here. And I guess your question is the phone in the same spot or not? I don't know. Those are two data points close in time. They're separated by 11 seconds, so the phone certainly could be stationary. The phone could also be moving. For instance, at one point it could be here, and the other point it could be there. There are both possibilities, and you can't determine for this thing.
And in terms of you don't have any cameras if it's stuck at a red light or anything like that?
I don't.
Okay. So that was the 772-713-9807 at 3:47 a.m. Okay. Moving on to the 772-713-9807 from 3:52 to 3:53 a.m. Could you explain what you're illustrating and the data shows on this slide?
Okay, so this shows two data points, both using the same tower and sector, tower 151, 685, sector 13. And the first data point is at 3:52:58 a.m.
Okay.
That's this arc here. That's 0.58 miles from the tower. And then 50 seconds later, at 3:53:48 a.m., the arc is 1.16 miles from the tower, this other arc.
And in terms of the distance between the two arcs, what is that amount?
It's a little bit over half a mile,
And the time frame in between those two arcs is how long?
about 50 seconds.
Based on the records and that you have, can you give information as to where that phone was along those arcs?
Based on the records that I have,
Yes. Based on other additional information that was provided to you, can you make a determination as to where it's more likely than not the phone was?
yes.
And where is that?
So the phone moved half a mile in 50 seconds. That's consistent with vehicle travel. It's too fast for a phone to move. That's 30 miles an hour.
Oh.
So there's a couple places that the phone could be logically. For instance, it could be going east to west on Pines. It could be going north to south on 184th. Those are both options. There's a data point that was provided to me. And that reason for this analysis was I was asked, hey, the detective recovered some video footage from Montessori Academy that he believed these devices might be in a vehicle that was seen driving by around this time. The detective asked, is the cell data consistent with these devices being in the vehicle? In my opinion, yes.
Okay. The data points that we're looking at, are those the only data points that exist in this case?
No, but these are the data points between 352 and 353.
No. So going on to now the 772-713-9807 and 954-248-9081. The 4 a.m. to 4:03 a.m.
Hey, this shit real boring.
Can you describe what information is contained here?
So both phones are seen in the same tower and sector, tower 63035, sector 15, at 4 o'clock and 36 seconds. The blue phone was 1.45 miles from the tower, We have 2 data points on the red phone, one at 4 a.m. and 54 seconds, one at 4:03:14 seconds. The red phone was reported being 1.5 miles from the tower, 1.45 miles from the tower.
So when we're looking at here, this purple area, why is that?
Because the red and blue phones are both, they are red and blue mixed purple, so.
Just in case anyone's colorblind. So, with regards to the locations along this arc, can you narrow down in any way where the phones are along that arc?
Now, from the cell records, all you can tell is that there's somewhere within. Yeah.
And in terms of if you're looking at it in the totality of the circumstances based on the other records and information that you have, can that help and assist you in rendering an opinion as to where the phones are located?
Yes.
And where would that be?
So, the red flag depicts the crime scene that the detectives told me about, and they asked, is it possible for these devices to have been in the crime scene? In my opinion, yes. The data is consistent with these devices being in the crime scene at this time.
Okay. So going on to the 772-713-9807 phone at 4:06 a.m.
Yo, sewer.
What
Pause, my
information
nigga.
or data are you showing in here?
So this shows the red phone at 4:06:22. There's a data point where it's back on tower 63047, sector 3. It's 1.02 miles from the tower. So in this band here.
Okay, and in terms of where it is along that band, can you give a more definitive answer?
From the cell phone records alone, no. The reason for this slide, or this analysis, was because the detective had video footage from Montessori Academy again at a certain time.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Sorry, repeat your question.
So based on these records, can you say where the phone was along that band?
And your objection is it calls for hearsay?
That wasn't the same question, Judge.
Thank you. Proceed. You can answer the question.
So based on these records, can you say where along the band it was?
No.
Was other physical evidence provided for you to review?
I don't think I saw physical evidence, no.
Oh. So going on to the next slide, the 772-713-9807 and 954.
So with the federal agent, that's the one that's talking right now. He's an FBI agent. If y'all don't know, they sign NDAs to where they can't get descriptive in their jobs, like any information. They give like key things, like how he said what his title is and shit like that. But as far as like what he does, like I mean how he does it, like he can't give no details in that. So that's why his responses is more on the lines of like, like it's like you're not giving enough information because they can't. Yeah, it's just they just can't, like, even sworn in, they can't go into like real detailed descriptions of what it is. So with these records right here, I'm sure he wants to say whatever, far as like he was talking to, you know, a bunch of clients, like a bunch of his associates, like his people that he worked with. Like he can go on more descriptive, or he can be like, yeah, it was over here, woo, woo, woo. With a bunch of like regular civilians, he can't. So that's why he's like, physical evidence. Like, so I just wanted to let y'all know that.
248-9081. If you can explain what we're looking at on this particular slide.
So this is a series of data points on 3 different towers for both the red and blue phone between 417 and 423. We're starting back on the left side of the slide, where 417.43, the blue phone, is 1.21 miles from this tower. Shortly after that, at 4:18:02 a.m., the red phone is 0.87 miles from the tower. Shortly after that, 4:20:50 a.m., the blue phone is 1.02 miles from this tower. Then after that, at 4:23:22 and 4:23:55 a.m., the red phone is 0.29 miles and then 0.68 miles from this tower.
Okay, and in terms of what can you tell about how the phones are related in distance from one another based on this slide?
Distance from one another. Well, both phones moved north and then east. We know that the blue phone and the red phone are both over here, and now they're over here in the analytic period.
Can you have an opinion as to whether or not they separated during this time frame?
During this time frame,
Yes, 417 to 423.
I don't know. To me, I don't think there's enough data here to form.
Okay. So going on to the blue phone, 954-248-9081, 4:40 a.m. to 5:52 a.m. What data points and what information do you have on that phone?
So there's a lot of data points, or many data points for the blue phone during this time period. All the timing advance bands were 0.82 and 0.87 miles from the tower, tower 62492, sector 3. Each of those bands, the 0.82 miles and 0.87 miles are shown here.
Okay. Does that phone then, that's all the data that you have for that particular blue phone?
Right.
Okay. Now to go to the 4:40 a.m. for the 772-713-9807, where does your data show that phone to be in the area of?
So at 4:40 a.m., at this point, the phones are clearly separate. At 4:40 a.m., we have 2 different types of data points that we're plotting here. At 4:40:31, we have the timing advance data, which shows that the phone is 0.58 miles from this tower. And then at 4:40:34 a.m., the red phone makes an outgoing call using that cell site, so that tower in sector 62407, sector 12.
Okay, and the outgoing phone call that is made, is that identified from the records?
Yes.
And what is that? I'm sorry.
That is a outgoing call to phone number 954-376-9158.
Okay. Does the red phone ever coincide again with the blue phone on the same arc that covers the hospital?
No.
Basically,
So that was
they're
the
showing
first.
when Melly's supposed to leave the car. They're showing the time.
Did you do additional ones?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to move on to the sprint at records and analysis that you did. Council, your favorite one? So with the sprint records that you were given, did you have the same measurement or distance data for those phones?
No, we had a similar report, which is the timing advance, Sprint calls it per call measurement data report. It's formatted differently. It's a different network, it's a different company, but it has generally the same types of information contained in the report.
Okay. If there was going to be a distance in this report, where would it be shown?
It would be shown in column I.
Column I,
Yeah, just titled distance in miles.
distance miles there. Okay. And to be clear, we're looking at the records here for 954-371-7895. Did Sprint provide the distance for column I at any point between 3 a.m. and 3:57 a.m.? Sorry, that's column 163. Was there any distance provided?
No.
Okay. The 164 column, or row 164, row 60, 166, 167, and 169 was distance provided by Sprint at that point.
Yes.
Are they from a different manufacturer or vendor of cell tower?
Yes.
Okay. So based on, and so on this, the state would also publish what's been previously admitted as State 63. And for the record, that is the 2018-1418-61555597 customer service management.
See, and this is one reason why you never take your phones. I don't know if niggas did it or not, but I'm saying this the reason why you one don't have no acquaintances, or if you ever gonna do a crime, you never have nobody with you. This is one reason why, because like I always tell you niggas, bro, these cell phones gonna get you niggas fucked up. They going over towers. They going over phone records. They going over. Come on, bruh. Like, is it even worth it to be a criminal? Like, is it even worth it? Like, bruh, I keep saying this shit, bro. This not the 2000s. This ain't the motherfucking 90s. It ain't the 80s. Them days is over with, bruh. Is it even worth it to be a criminal? I don't think so. Like I said, I don't know if the nigga did it or not, but just look at all this shit though, cause like a lot of y'all don't have the money that Melly has. Y'all don't have millions of dollars like Young Thug to sit up here and buy the best lawyers and, you know what I mean, fight these cases, bruh. A lot of y'all going in there with PDs and getting y'all ass torched. So even if y'all can get a great lawyer or a decent lawyer, come on, bro. Look at all this shit. Look at all this shit, bro.
Screen of Chris Thomas. And the second one to be published is the customer service
Objection, Your
screen of Dontavius.
That's the objection.
May we approach?
Sure.
Yeah, bro. That shit ain't worth it, bro. Like, y'all niggas want to be criminals so bad, bro. Nigga ain't trying to live like this, bro. Like, that's for sure. Nigga ain't not trying to live like this, bro. Like, this shit right here is just on some crazy shit. Just like, nigga really putting up everything. Like, your whole motherfucking background. Every phone call you had. Every, like, I know for a fact some of these phone numbers still active. They putting your whole number out
I'm not
here.
sleeping, chat. Like I'm handling some business on text. Y'all might think I'm like just low energy or whatever because I'm looking down. I'm looking at my phone. I'm like sending text through and shit like that. I'm sorry.
Nobody cares, Tubby.
It's labeled as page 3. You're still using the same symbol.
Don't worry. Once we get past this boring shit, it's gonna pick up a little bit. Also, you know, I'll talk about the young boy shit. A little bit more info on the Quando Rondo stuff. So I'll get to those things, but you know, let's prioritize the trial for now. All right, they're gonna take lunch pretty soon if they're not at lunch already. We just want to catch up. Yeah. So yeah, we just need to get to about here, which is about like 20 more minutes of this, and then like I'll be talking from then on. All right.
The circle to represent a tower.
Yes.
Okay. Are you still using the same wedge or pie shape to identify a specific cell site?
Yes.
As to the next image that we're looking at, what does this show?
This shows the Sprint network in South Florida in the time of October 2008.
Does this fairly and accurately depict how the cell towers for Sprint were situated in October of 2018?
Yes.
God damn.
And we had previously discussed the locations of interest. Are those the same as in the previous analysis that you did?
Yes.
Why don't you put these all on one giant map together?
All the phones.
Yes.
Well, one, there would be a lot of phones. It could be like confusing to look at and see all the different data points. And so that would be one of the reasons why.
Oh. So going on to the phone number, the 772-713-2341, the green phone on this, and 954-371-7895. Can you explain what we're looking at of this October 26th, 3:22 to 3:43 a.m.?
So, much like the red and the blue phone, this shows that the green and the purple phone both use towers, or seen by towers, in the Fort Lauderdale area near the flag with the NE unit. It represents New Era Studios. At 3:22 a.m., the purple tower is seen by Sprint Tower 168845. And then at 3:23 a.m., the green phone by a different tower, 325-911.
Okay. And in terms of, to go back to the 772-713-9807 and 248-9081, you're showing the same or similar time frames.
Yes.
Oh. Do the phones, the green and the purple phone, move consistently together during this time frame?
During this time frame, yes.
Okay. And how can you say that?
The towers, again, advancing chronology, consistent with the phones moving together, generally south, and west, and then south again. They were hitting the same towers at similar times through this point.
Moving on to now 3:43 to 3:57 a.m. What are you showing and illustrating on this slide?
So this is only the purple phone. And you'll see that there are several towers that saw the purple phone during this time period. Unfortunately, because we didn't get distance information in the report, we can't tell where, in relation to those towers, this device is. So you'll see that there's overlap between the towers, right? Like for instance, between 343 and 352, there were multiple times that this tower saw the phone. But during that time period, this tower also saw the phone at 348. During that time period, this tower also saw the phone at 349. 350, this tower saw it. So we have multiple towers from all different locations where the antennas are generally pointing that direction that saw the phone, but we don't have distance information.
Are there any phone calls or anything that would indicate that the phone used one of those towers as the clearest, strongest signal to make a phone call?
No.
Then going on to the 772-713-2341. Is this using some of the same towers?
Some of them.
Okay, and if we can just kind of go back and forth a little bit to explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury which ones are the same and which ones are different.
Sure. So I believe all three of these are the same, but the purple ones, or the purple phone, had multiple other towers that were used.
Okay. To look at tower 336234-3, I'm trying to overlay them as, are they using the same antenna on that tower?
No.
Okay. Is this consistent with the phones being together?
No, in my opinion, this shows that the phones were separated.
So, and then in terms of the final analysis at 3:49 a.m., you could, for the 772-713-2341 tower, if you could identify that, on this exhibit, which is page 9.
The tower that recorded the phone at 349.
Yes.
This one in the center, tower 3360972.
Okay. And then in terms of the final tower, the 3:57 a.m., if you could identify that one.
That's the western edge of the map area, tower 336-234, sector 3.
Okay. So, going on to the third analysis you did in this case. Did you do an analysis again for the phone number 772-713-9807, the red phone, and 954-376-9158?
Yes.
And in terms of the 954-376-9158, is that the same phone number you testified to was the phone call at 4:40 a.m. and on the 772 phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, bro, this shit making that nigga sleepy, bro.
So going on to those, do you again use the same information to depict timing advance and cell sites and everything of that nature?
Yes.
The two phones, is it important to know what network a phone is on before you do the mapping?
Yes.
Okay. Were both of these phones on the same network?
Yes.
On this
Look at these
particular
cell
one,
towers.
what network?
Look at these cell. No wonder T-Mobile was so fucking trash in 2018. Look, all East Coast. So if you in the middle here, you're not fucking with T-Mobile at all. Period. Then pretty much a lot of West Coast, but it looked like it's just way heavier in the East Coast. God damn.
Network were both phones on?
T-Mobile.
Okay, so back to the red phone. And are these, again, fairly and accurately depict the location of the T-Mobile towers of October of 2018?
Yes.
Same locations of interest, or is there an additional one on this particular item?
There's an additional one.
And what item or additional location is on this map that is different from the others?
The Toscana Apartments, 5700 Toscana Lane, Margate, Florida. It's shown with on the map with an orange flag with a white letter T on it.
And if you could just circle it so it's clear to the general jury where that's at.
Here's on the map. Here's the extra location.
Everything else remains the same?
Yes.
Okay. So on the 954-376-9158, the kind of turquoise phone, what information are you showing from 1:08 a.m. to 8:23 a.m.?
So this is information from the call detail records, not engineering data. This is calls and
Man,
texts.
I'm about to take my ass to sleep, bro. As y'all see, bro, I don't know if this nigga did it or not, man. Y'all niggas just be careful, bro. Like I tell y'all niggas all the time, bro. If y'all gonna do crime, bro, do that shit by yourself. And then just, you know, stand on whatever come with that shit. Because it's kind of crazy as we see what's going on. But yeah, I'm about to go to sleep because this shit right here is getting me sleepy, buddy.